Hey, it's been a while. Holy moly, it's been a month since I put out my last video. I had 48 hours of footage that I had to cull down into 30 minutes. So we're gonna go back and visit a mustachioed David and see what I've been through this last 30 days, just to get her as fast as I possibly could. And spoiler alert, she's fast. So fast, in fact, it's the second most fun thing I've ever ridden. The first, of course, being your mom. Aw shit, look what I did today. Spent 3 hours at the DMV and got my plates for both Motobecanes. I cut this piece of 16 gauge just to firm up the license plate a little bit. Now I'm going to mount it. I'm going to put in the bottom bolt of the brake light. I've pulled that out. Should go right on there, and then I drilled a hole down here for the other bolt, but that should be on pretty solid. We have a problem around here with people stealing moped license plates, so after I do that, I'm gonna come back in and cut it up so nobody will ever be able to get it off, including myself. I'll have to drill it off when it's time to change it out, but hopefully I won't ever have to do that. So anyway, yeah, about to be official, which means I can go on some real streets and really test it out. Hot damn. Alright, so this is my first test drive after I got the plates on and could go on some real roads and really let her go full throttle. I've got the speedometer there in the bottom left, not so you can watch the speed there, but just so you can compare that to the speedometer you see in the GoPro, then you can see about where the needle is and get an idea about what I'm hitting. I haven't done any tuning on it at this point, and remember, I'm still starting it with the drill. So this isn't a well put together machine, but I'm still encouraged by the top speed that I'm going to hit. Got two goals for today. First off is I've got to take the engine off a bit so that I can put this new decomp valve on. This one that's on here is leaking terribly, and I have to keep pushing it down and pulling it back up till it finds its exact right spot and actually seals. So I'm gonna pull it out. I'm gonna pull off the head and lap this this valve up and install it, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. And then I'm also going to go ahead and pull off this variator. I've got this the VAR Plus system, which allows you to really tune your variator. So I'm going to go ahead and install that. I'm also going to get into the clutch and play around with it and see if I can figure out why it's so tough to get it to engage and disengage. So I'll see what I can do on that. But first thing is I got to pull this engine off. I'm not going to pull it all the way off. I'm just going to loosen up this bolt so that I can pull it down and get the head off. Oh, holy shit balls, that is on there. There it goes. we go. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's just a ton of carbon deposits in that, in the seat for the valve. I think that's what was keeping it from sealing. So probably the decomp valve was good, it was just dirty. But since I have the new one, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the new one in. But first, I'm gonna clean the heck out of this thing. So here it is, I got it cleaned out and put the valve in right there, but I think I want to put some lapping compound on there so I can mate the surfaces absolutely perfectly. Maybe I'll put the die grinder or the Dremel on this so I can just hold it and spin it in there and polish it up. That's my plan anyway. All right, that actually worked pretty freaking well. I can tell it's lapping it. As you can see, the polishing compound's getting that aluminum color to it, which means it's wearing it away. That's good. Oh yeah, oh that's great. Yeah, look, you can see where it wore away the metal to get it perfectly centered and sealed. I think I'm just gonna go over it with a little bit of metal polish now, just to really clean it up, and then we're calling that a success. Yeah, that really worked well. Good job, David. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, let's put this jank back together. Ouch. How am I gonna do that? Ouch. This is gonna be freaking hard, dude. Oh, this is gonna be hard. Shit. That might have been one of the reasons this thing wasn't sealing up, is because this spring is kind of fatigued. I could compress it and uncompress it without any problems, but this new one is freaking tough. So it's certainly gonna pull up on the valve a lot more. But getting it in there is going to be freaking impossible. Time to call in reinforcements. I gotta get the wife over here to help me do this. I gotta have somebody pushing down while I put that in. Alright, holy crap. That was a pain in the ass. The cuss words I was using aren't suitable for even YouTube. Long story short, that Motobecane decomp valve that you can buy from Treatlands is a piece of shit. It's It's cheap and it doesn't really fit. This is the little piece that goes on top of the spring that holds the valve. It's too long. So after you have it on, when you try to decompress, this hits the nut, you know, after about a millimeter of travel. So it barely opens the valve. On top of that, this is the cotter pin they give you to link the that carrier with the valve, the hole through the valve, and it's also a piece of crap. It's the most flimsiest cotter pin I've ever seen in my life. So what I did was I went to the hardware store and I bought a beefy cotter pin, and then I used all the pieces from my old decomp except for the actual valve stem, which I used the new one, which I had lapped, and then I used the spring from the new one, which was the exact same as this. This spring is all bent and not very springy anymore, which I think was my whole problem from the get-go. Take this variator apart. So I made this little tool here. Here's how I did it. There's a tool you can buy on Treats to help in the disassembly of these variators. It's 40 bucks. I was looking at it. I'm reasonably sure I can make it for free. Pretty much that tool, all it is just, it has a bolt that goes through all the way up through here, and then it has two little locator bolts that keep this from spinning. They fit in these slots and keep it from spinning. So I'm just going to mark 3 holes and drill them out. Put some bolts in there. Seems like it's really that easy. That's pretty much it. This will locate the center, and then these two hopefully will slot into here. Keep it from moving? I don't know, we'll find out. I think that's gonna work. That thing's tight. Alright, let's give this thing a try. Feels pretty freaking solid. That worked like a champ. Look at that, popped right off. Hot damn. I don't know. Shit. Alright, so I went and I raided Harbor Freight. I had a big ass set of channel locks. Should be big enough to get on there. If those don't work, I got these locking oil filter wrench. I don't know. Nope. Me. I got it. Oh, I got it. All right, I got this thing cooled off a bit. The magic combination was a lot of heat right on the plate, and then these this oil wrench vice grip for oil filters. Got it on there and actually didn't even mar it too bad. I got some teeth marks in there, but nothing too bad. But look at this. Oh yeah. Ooh, that's still damn hot. Oh yeah. I'm gonna clean this thing up. I guess I over greased it because grease got everywhere, even on the pads. So I'm gonna clean this up with some brake cleaner, and then I'm gonna come back with some sandpaper and just make sure I got all the crap off of those pads. And then the next time I grease it up, I'll do it a lot less than I did this time. I think that was at least one of my problems. All right, so here's the Bar Plus install. You have to take off this cover to get the little plastic covers over the guides that the variator slides on. I also had to drill out the holes on this cover so that they would fit over the enlarged plastic guides. I'm going to grease up these rollers just a little bit. I mean, the tiniest little bit. I'm using 6 medium weight rollers to start with. Bingo. That's pretty much it. Let's go put it on. It's all about airplanes, wings around the world, psychological babble makes happy boys and girls. Can't think of too many things with wings around the world. Ooh. in here late last night messing with this stinking clutch, trying to get it to hook up, and I could never get it to hook up. I took it apart, I messed with the springs, I did everything I could, and it still wouldn't hook up. And when I was looking at the torque specs, and the torque specs were 18 foot-pounds, and I tightened the thing down to 18 foot-pounds, and it became one solid unit. The outside wouldn't move independently of the inside. Which leads me to think maybe that brand new clutch I bought from Treatlands is bad? Alright, so here I am building my Franken variator. I was just fed up with that stinking Treatlands variator. I tried all different spacing. I tried so many different darn things. In fact, I've spent about 2 weeks on this stupid thing. And as much as I wanted to use that Treatland variator, I ended up only using pieces of it. This variator is just a combination of all the best parts of all three of the things that I own. And I of course put the VAR Plus on it as well. Alright, let's hope that's the one. Turn on the fan and start her up. Come on, baby. Started right up. Started right up. Just spray carb cleaner all around. Wherever your air leak is, when you spray the carb cleaner, you'll hear a bump up in the revs. Holy crap, that thing's turned up. Oh, that killed it. Right at the air intake. Right at the air intake. Some kind of leak there. Found our problem. Luckily, so I've got 4 other gaskets to choose from. This one was a homemade dealio. Just because all of these didn't fit the enlarged Malassi Shorty intake, I guess I'll probably take one of these Teflon jobbies and carve it out a bit so that it does fit perfectly. And this is the shim that goes into the carb clamp that then goes onto the intake. And I didn't know, but you're supposed to have a little O-ring between the shim and the clamp. I was looking through treats and I saw it being sold. And it's supposed to be for 15s and 16s. You're supposed to have a little O-ring. This is one of my O-rings from the airbox from the Gertner. and it looks like it's going to fit perfectly. So I'm hoping that solves my air leak. So I'm going to take off the carb and put this on. Alright, it's time to dial in the carb. I rode it for a couple miles today, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles. I have a 74 jet in there, and it's not right. I was trying that 4-stroking method to try and determine what my jet size should be, but I had it up to an 84 jet and it didn't 4-stroke. And let me tell you what, an 84 jet is way too rich. So if I couldn't get it to 4-stroke at that, I don't know exactly what the problem is. I've got all the leaks sealed up, but I'm just going to go back to the tried and true method of a plug chop. To that end, I bought a bunch of spark plugs. I bought 3 different heats. I bought a B6 HS, a B7 HS, and a B8 HS. I always use the B6 HS on my stock mopeds, but as you get a kit and as you get bigger displacement, you're going to want to use a colder plug. So I bought the 7s and 8s just so I can experiment between them. When I do the plug chop, I'll be able to tell if I'm using the right heat of spark plug just by looking at this top electrode. You want to see how much of the plating is burned off, and it should be about halfway down. If it's less than halfway down, your plug is too cold. If it's more than halfway down, your plug is too hot, and you need to adjust accordingly. And then basically a plug chop is just that. You chop the plug open and you read the porcelain all the way down at the bottom, and that'll tell you what your fuel air mixture is. You're looking for a nice dark chocolate brown and just a nice little band. You don't want it too high up, that means you're running too rich, and you don't want hardly any at all, that means you're running too lean. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's raining outside, so I'm kind of waiting for the rain to abate a little bit. Then I'll go do the plug chop. You ride it real hard for about a half a mile and you cut it off, and then you chop the plug to see what the conditions were. As I chop the plug, I'll come back and I'll show it to y'all, and then we can diagnose together. So I'll be back in a bit. I tried to sneak in there while it wasn't raining and I failed. It poured all over me. But I think I got a good run on that. Wide open throttle for probably about 2.5 minutes. So I should get a pretty good reading on that. You see where the plating got burned off to, which is like right there. That's too far. You want it about halfway. So that means that this plug's running too hot. NGK, as the numbers go up, the temp goes down. So I have a B8 HS that I'm going to throw in, which probably should be the right plug for the kit. I'm going to go ahead and chop it, but I can already look down there and see I didn't leave much of a ring. Alright, so now I've got it under the light, and you can see there's the beginning, a real light brown down at the base there. I'm expecting that to be a bit taller, probably, I don't know, a bit taller and a bit darker. This tells me I'm running lean. So I'm gonna upjet. Also, look at the very tip of that electrode, and you see how it's got a very light color right on top. That's good. That's what you want to see. That tells you about your timing, and that pretty much tells me that my timing is spot on, since I just see a very little bit where it's really light up top, and then the rest is still got its plating and is a bit darker. That's a really good sign. All right. Well, I just got back for a ride. I threw a 79 jet in there because the 74 was a little lean. The 79 was way too rich. It felt like driving with the choke on. So we know 79's too rich. We know 74 is just a touch too lean. I only have one jet that's in between them, and it's a 76. So I'm gonna throw a 76 in there and I'm gonna ride it, see how it behaves. If it behaves well, boom, I found it. I'm really trying to dial this carb in. And one of the things that bugs me is if you'll look at that throttle slide right there, watch what happens when I pull it to full throttle. There it goes, it's going up. And look at it stop right there. That's at the very top of my throttle position. But yet, if I go in there, I can push it up a solid more 3 millimeters or so. I think the problem, matter of fact, I know the problem, is up here on the throttle. Like, that's all the way closed, and now it looks like it's fine. And then when I open it all the way, I hit a stop right there. And I don't want to. I want it to go another, I don't know, 2 millimeters or so. So I'm gonna need to pull this throttle off and see what I can do to get it to travel a little bit more. See what's going on inside here, if you can. You see there's a little screw. This screw goes in and it sticks through that slot, and watch what happens when I turn the throttle. Is it keeps coming and keeps coming, and then that screw blocks that slot from turning anymore. Hope that's showing up. Anyway, so it looks like if I take a little bit out of that top of that slot, I should be able to get a little bit more travel. There we go. That worked easier than I thought. Alright, let me make sure I know which one I'm doing here. Let me think about this again. Alright, let's see how I did here. Oh, it's hard to do this film and do it. There we go. You see the throttle? Oh. All the way open. Bingo. Alright. It's been about a week since I last recorded. I flipped out the light bulbs to 12-volt light bulbs. I thought they weren't working because they were 6-volt bulbs. But in reality, they weren't working because the wiring was bad. So I spent 3 days rewiring the whole bike, front to back. I had to fix these brake switches, which wasn't fun. I didn't record any of that because, let's face it, it's boring. I didn't want to do it. It was boring, so I'm sure nobody wants to watch it. Anyway, now the wiring is good. The lights work. I had to bypass the headlight switch because it's bad. Eventually I'll pull it off and fix it, but for right now, this light is on all the time. I also mess with the jetting quite a bit. I'm running a 78 in there. I think it's a touch rich, and I think a 76 is a touch lean. Probably a 77, and I have a 77. I'm gonna put it in, but let's face it, I'm splitting hairs at this point. It's pretty dialed in. I've got 6 of the mid weights in the VAR Plus, and it's variating too soon. I'm gonna pull those out. I think I'm gonna go to 3 mid weights and 3 light weights, but for the first time I might just go ahead and put all 6 of the light weights so it variates later. Other than that, she's running pretty darn good. I've put about 100K on her so far, just dialing her in. So I'm gonna take y'all for a ride. I've got the GoPro on my helmet. I'm gonna take y'all for a ride, show you what she's doing. All right, here's my testing ground. Here's the speed test ground. Here we go. There's a road here in Norfolk where I like to take my mopeds to do the speed tests. Speed limit's 45, but people regularly do 60 on it, so I don't feel bad going as fast as I want. Here we go. This is a good speed test. You're gonna get to see a top speed here. That's about 60 right there. Still kind of taking it easy here. I'm about 3/4 throttle. I'm not fully goosing it yet. I'm gonna wait till I get past the light to really get it going. There's about 80. Now I just kicked it into gear. Let's see what we're gonna get. There's 90. Takes a while to creep up that last little bit. I want 100. Am I gonna hit it? Am I? 100. Get there. Yeah, I did. So that's what I call my top speed. However, on the way back to my shop, there's this bridge. And it's got a pretty good downhill on the back side of it. So just for fun, let's see how fast I can get her on the back side of this bridge. That's 90 going up, which is a good sign. So that's it. You saw it right. 66 miles an hour on a freaking moped, which I'm not gonna lie to you, is terrifying. I've still got some work to do on her. I'm gonna tune that variator a bit more. I'm certainly gonna change out the gearing. I don't need to go 66 miles an hour, but I would like a little bit more oomph down low so I can get going faster, quicker. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, I certainly appreciate y'all taking this ride with me. Some of you gave me some really useful advice. Some of you shared your builds with me. Some of you even complimented my music, which was freaking awesome. You really made this jumping into the YouTube thing rewarding. So I hope you stick around for my next build, which I've actually already started. Something a little less exotic than a French moped this time. Perhaps Slovenian? Thanks for watching.